Plants vs Zombies 2, a game I can't seem to get enough. So I've decided to attempt being Plants vs Zombies 2 only using fire plants.
He's dead. Get him to that gate and I can go, please.
Hold on. Go get yourself a snack, some popcorn, a drink of Club Orange, or whatever you prefer. And this is the mini movie. We will be covering the first 6 worlds of all of PVZ 2. So sit back and enjoy. And if you want to watch a particular world, again, there's a playlist linked in the top of the description and also in the comments. Click that and you can just pick whichever episode you want to watch. So let's get straight to it. Hold on, before we get deeper in, let's put some basic rules down that we can follow throughout the whole series. So the rules that we're going to follow throughout this whole series: rule number 1, no leveling up plants. We're keeping them as low level as we can. So level 1, except for that mandatory level 2 peashooter that we need to start the game. Other than that, we're completely fine. Rule number 2, no power-ups are allowed. Last but not least, you can only use fire plants. If you ain't a fire-breathing dragon or a fire-shooting peashooter, and also because I hate myself, we're also going to do no sunflower or a flipping tornado thingamajig, you ain't able to be used. So with that, let's get straight into it. Beginning our game where all games begin, the start. But let's be honest, nobody wants to see this tutorial, so let's skip forward to where it actually gets good. Ooh, I feel young again. Welcome to ancient Egypt. Well, thank you, Truck. And right here, we're kind of just understanding the basics. We're just unlocking basic tools to further ourselves into the game by unlocking plant food, which we all know. And we quickly make light work of the first couple of levels and unlock power-ups, which again, we cannot use. Level 2, same thing, just unlocking the map. Right now, we still can use the plants given because they're not there. And we also unlock the mandatory level 2 peashooter, which will not be used at all throughout. But once we finally get to level 6, yeah, another level we can't do. So technically in ancient Egypt there is 6 levels we can't do without using fire plants. And on day 7, this is where we actually get to use plants. After making a quick realization that ancient Egypt has 0 fire plants, we're gonna have to spend some money. Upon opening up the stores and clicking purchase on these plants, we got a little trigger happy, you know. And it was kind of like a childhood dream to finally buy Plants vs Zombies plants. And I bought 3. Let me know if these were good decisions or terrible decisions, and if you want to see me lose even more money. 7,000 likes and I'll buy all the fire plants in the game. And my bank will not like that. Number 1. Okay, starting off with the first one, which I did have prior experience with, was Fire Pea. You know, it shoots fire peas. Nothing too crazy. And number 2, we have Inferno, which kind of looks like a fern. Okay, it's actually based on a fern, which makes sense. And it just sends a wonderful tornado, which I was insanely surprised by when I first opened it. I didn't know what I was expecting. Last but not least, Blaze Leaf, which I kind of just liked the way he was really angry, so I purchased him. Yeah, these all came to like 20 euro. Damn. Now, finally being able to select my army of paid plants, we assembled and we finally took on our first day where we can actually use the fire plants. And we had some plants pre-placed for us, which we're going to allow because why not? They're going to be used up anyways by some explorer zombies. So we just do that, and this allows us some time to build up our sun, which we can place a new plant being our Blaze Leaf, which I thought was a long distance plant. I was quickly shown that he was not, and I started to worry. But we actually got some glimpse, and I saw a glimpse of hope that this guy might have been a good decision. Having no actually clue on his potential, I placed down a fire peashooter, and it was my first time using him. And I was really blessed by the RNG in this game. Maybe being one of the early ancient Egypt levels, it was nice to me. And out of the 3 lanes that I had enough sun to even place down a flower, the zombies only came down that lane, which thank you, I guess. I'm being quite curious with the plant food to see what the Blaze Leaf does. Yeah. He kills everybody on screen, which I thought was overpowered, and I even considered just banning it because I thought it was too OP. And as well as placing down an Inferno, I got to finally see what he does. He makes tornadoes and pushes them back, which again, I was like, this might be a little overpowered, which I mean, I should expect from premium plants, but I didn't think it would be this good. And as you could expect, we made quick work of level 8 and we moved on to level 9 without much hassle. 9, after seeing what Inferno did, I was quite obsessed and I wanted to really experience what it could bring. So saving up enough, I placed down 1 and I planned on placing 1 in each lane, but the 200 cost meant a lot of sun collecting. I just had enough just before the zombie passed the 3 tiles deep threshold that I was going for. I didn't know why. I thought that the Inferno had like a certain range it could shoot from. So yeah, right here is where I saw the error of my ways. There was zombies coming from the top row as well as the bottom row, and I just had enough for the top row, so I would have to sacrifice one of them. And knowing that the Inferno had like a tornado that bring them back, I had to sacrifice the bottom lane's lawnmower, which at this point I didn't really mind because we had enough to protect all of the upper ones, knowing that during the wave they normally don't put zombies on the bottom lane. And of course I was proved wrong. And with the fire explorer zombies breaking through our defenses, I got quite nervous, but knowing I had 3 plant foods, I wasn't too nervous, especially at this stage. But I didn't know what the special attack would do, and it brought them up to kill mine. Well, I finally got enough sun to place down Blaze Leaf, which solved all my problems, and we ridded ancient Egypt day 9, and we moved on, thankfully. 10 is where I started to really understand like the plants I bought and where they're best used. I realized that Inferno could be used from far away, which thankfully was good with the 200 sun price, and with no sunflowers producing, it was quite an expensive plant. And I also found out that Blaze Leaf was actually multi-directional, so it could shoot in a 3x3 like tile format in any direction, which came in quite handy, especially because we're not allowed to use sun producing flowers in this run through. And after developing a full line of Blaze Leaf, it actually became quite an easy level because they overlap, causing a lot of damage, which eliminate all cone zombies, and it was more of a learning level to understand the potential of these plants. So that leaves us to day 11. And day 11 was one of the days where they gave us pre-selected plants, so technically this is a level we couldn't do only using fire plants, so we're just going to totally skip this and ignore this level. Day 12 was the level which wasn't too hard, but did introduce some newer zombies, being the tomb zombie, which was really tanky, which actually didn't really cause much of a trouble as I thought it would, especially for Inferno, which was a brilliant plan for this, which kept pushing him back and dealing great damages to him. But we got a great setup where we had Blaze Leaf on the second row, which eliminated the top and middle row, and then I had Infernos down along the bottom 3 rows, which caused massive damage. And we flew through day 12 with a sacrificial middle lane, which worked, and we don't complain with those. Day 13 is a day which introduced a gimmick level where there was these green slime bouncing looking things from Minecraft on the lawn, which we couldn't plant plants, and I originally thought zombies could step on it. It was like the mushrooms from later levels, but it was actually quite fine for the zombies to walk through, so there was no worries. But I did struggle quite a lot, especially with the center 3 lanes, which the whole game worked for a benefit for me somehow, where I kind of bust case by spending all my money on plants and them being eating, and the lawnmower is really saving me here. And eventually I saw that the zombies were taking their time and there was a lawnmower in that lane, so I just used one of the plant foods to eliminate it. I'm bringing definitely the most difficult level so far of all the levels in ancient Egypt, which I was quite nervous about losing, but so far we've beaten them all near enough on our first go, so yeah, it's looking quite good so far. Day 14 was the day where quite literally nothing happened. There was no special new zombies, there was no struggle, and it was kind of just a filler. So let's just move on to day 15 where stuff actually happened. Day 15, and as you can see, we got 3 sunflowers where I cannot remove as they're endangered plants, and if they die or get removed, I lose. So I was quite excited to actually have sun that I could use to spend to get a nice setup which would make me fly through the level and actually like have a decent setup which didn't look like trash. And yeah, we actually had quite a decent level, and I fully got to see the potential of Blaze Leaf as I put him out in the middle of nowhere, just because I had sun to spend like that, because I was feeling very bougie. And I started to see a vision which would be further in day 16, but while for drama and action wise, yeah, day 15 was also quite an easy level to say. Day 16 is the day where I really thought to use my brain, and this is where I discovered a tactic which without sun was very, very useful, especially for the Blaze Leaf. This is where I put the first blaze on lane 4 and then I put the second blaze on lane 2, so mathematically speaking it would hit every lane possible. And for a challenge where it's not plentiful really, this is a really good tactic which I'm happy I discovered. And as you can see from the future ones, and as I'm recording, I also have Pirate Seas done, which will be released tomorrow. It became very helpful in really difficult levels where sun was very little. And as you can see, I can just double up on lane 2 and lane 4, which just made it a lot easier. And instead of spending 200 on each lane, and it just saved a lot of sun, which made me love this game even more. So that leads us onto an easy day 16, which puts us on to day 17. Okay boys, day 17. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It was very easy. I'm also not gonna lie to you, all these prepare your defense levels where they're cool to have, you know, there's a nice change of pace and gives you a bright like new perspective on Plants vs Zombies 2. It's just always an easy victory. Matter of fact, you could just press Let's Rock and just go to your keyboard and move on. So I'm just gonna skip all these levels altogether because they're just kind of waste time. I'm wasting your time. Talking about waste time, day 19. Just literally nothing new to bring to you. It was a very filler day, especially the next couple of days, which we're kind of going to just fly through because there's no benefit of you watching them. And yeah, it was more just another spruced up day 15, which was a day 20, another easy level. Moved on to 21. Day 21, literally nothing new as well. Just spammed the same tactic that I always did. Quick, easy level, wasn't that long at all, with a couple of pre-selected plants, which led us to day 22. Day 22 did leave us with some our first couple of losses in a row due to complexity and me just being kind of bored from the last couple of levels, trying to try new tactics and stuff. But we just kind of build it up on our blaze leaves, leading us to day 23. Could you guess what happens on day 23? Absolutely nothing. I beat the level with 4 plants and a lot more. Okay, next level. Day 24. Yet another plan your defense day. You know what I said before. Let's skip it because nothing new comes from this, leading us to the final day and the beautiful boss battle against Dr. Zomboss. Welcome to day 25. By far the hardest level in the whole game, and this is a level where I was quite literally battling for my life, not losing on my try, but we somehow buzz case. Planting many zombies in random locations and really just hoping that I win. Which really did work out for me, and it was a tough level where we couldn't use fire plants because it was a conveyor level, which was a gimmick level, which we allow because I have no control over it. But it was a really fun level to end off the ancient Egypt way, and there was a couple of times where I thought it was over, but we somehow clutched through. Beginning the game from level 1. Looking at this cast of members, I realized we don't have enough new plants to say, and I wanted to see a whole loadout of fire plants and just variate them from level to level. So we went on a shopping spree. After looking at the Piracy's lineup of plants, there was quite a few that we could use. So it didn't scratch my itch of having enough fire plants. So we went to the shop and we spent some money. Yeah, we only bought one. Yeah, let me know if this was a good decision because I honestly never used this plant before. 7,000 likes and I'll buy all the fire plants in the game. Numero uno. And this is quite a cool designed plant to say, and this is going to be the Wasabi Whip. This character, or plant to say, hits both forward and backwards and is actually quite useful, and with our cheaper cost of 150 sun, wasn't one of my favorite plants to use, but we ended up getting it, so we can move on with an extra plant in our arsenal. Finally sailing our way to where we can select some plants. Day 1 began as any other day, farming some sunlight that falls from the sky because again we cannot use any sunflowers. I'm placing a beautiful blaze leaf on the second row to initiate my plan that I established last episode of placing a blaze leaf on the second row and the fourth row to get every single lane where our very limited sun cost. And this will allow us to save up enough to get 2, which can at least attack every single lane, which is really useful, and even allows us to eventually build up multiple blaze leaves on different lanes, which to add extra damage. But sometimes they don't deal enough damage, so we have to place them in an inferno to deal with the cone head, which does a lot of damage, pushing them back as well. And we don't really have to worry too much about day 1, as it is really just the introduction to the world, and we quickly make easy work of day 1. On to the next day. Day 2, nothing too special and quite an easy level where we kind of just put down a couple of blaze leaves to fully attack all lanes, and to deal with the many flying upside down seagulls, we place 2 blaze leaves at the bottom just to deal enough damage because they're quite quick, so they get past 1 blaze leaf quite easily. So we put down 2 and we made quick easy work of day 2. Day 3 begins with collecting sun, and with the amount of sun we collected, we obviously put down some blaze leaves to allow us to hit every single row without a problem, so we could successfully go through this level with the limited sun effectively. And plus I didn't want to use new plants yet, just on the easy levels. I kind of wanted to fill them out in later more difficult levels, and with the amount of sun we did place down some infernos, which I believed to be a good idea. But with the expensive cost, it did cost us a blaze leaf due to me being unable to put down a backup plant to help it go through. But we eventually collected enough sun that fell from the sky to place another blaze leaf, which I thought would have just allowed them to pass. And I even contemplated using plant food, but I kind of wanted to refrain from them over the very, very effective and overpowered plant food ability that blaze leaf has. And he actually killed them all, which I was unbelievably surprised about without a challenge. And we finally unlocked a new character from the game that we can actually use, being Snapdragon. Woo! Being quite excited after finally unlocking a character I can actually use, and there's a good few in this world that I can actually add to my family or deck of cards or whatever you want to call it. If you're worrying about what happened to day 4, it was very uneventful and we just flew through it. But day 5 is where we really got to understand how Snapdragon is able to be used. And developing an idea of keeping my original idea and placing a Snapdragon between it allowed for maximum damage for the middle 3 rows, as well as the blaze leaves attacking the top and bottom rows, allowing for maximum damage to be done. And wow, the day made quick work of all the zombies there, and even backing up some of the plants with another additional Snapdragons. And we haven't even touched the Wasabi Whip because I kind of want to leave him to later levels so I can experience him where it's difficult and sun is difficult to come by, and I want to use him in some later worlds. But for right now, we're just going with this loadout. With the final wave sending a lot of seagull zombies out, we lost some plants, but we also flew through them with the useful advantage of having many Snapdragons. And with the bucketheads being done, this allows us to continue to day 6. Day 6 and day 7 were quite easy levels, which none really happened and no notable things came, except for day 7 where we unlocked a note where the truck told us it was a map. Well, I'd hope so. Day 8 was quite a unique level. It was a gimmick level, which gave us a conveyor level, but as you can see, it did give us fire plants, but the rate that fire plants was being given to us wasn't enough for us to fully only do it by fire plants. I did attempt multiple times. I failed multiple times. I failed 10 times, I'm gonna be honest. Damn. And I just couldn't do this. Other levels, especially like the boss battle, I'm gonna just say now, was done only using fire plants. But this level, I don't know why, but the Gigantuars just didn't allow it. Every time I tried, they'd come squish and walk their way through. And with that, we move on to day 9. Day 9 was quite an uneventful day to say, and we quickly blew through, collecting the reward of a broad bean guy that bounces them back, which again we cannot use. Bringing us to day 10, which ended with a big implosion, which really didn't bring us much hassle and was quite another easy level that we flew through, bringing us to day 11. And also day 11 being another day where we kind of just floated by, being a good couple of filler levels that I don't really want to talk about. Unlocking us a coconut exploder guy, but you know, he has a bit of fire to him, but he's too expensive to even consider using throughout the challenge because we do not have any sun producers allowed. So yeah, but I mean, day 12 was quite a fun day, he said, but again, couldn't really use any other plants, so it had to be done. So yeah, that kind of brings us to day 13. Day 13 was a very unique level where we had to produce a certain amount of sun. This meant that we had to use the sunflower, which I just ended up using the twin one so we could get there faster in my thought process. But obviously we can just think about it as being the sun being fire. So yeah, this just made us easier to plant more plants, obviously due to the influx of sun in the level, and also just made it a lot easier level to fly through. But I thought I'd cover it because it's a cool unique level that we haven't experienced yet throughout the series, and there is a lot more in Pirate Seas. So these were kind of easier levels due to the influx, and the second I reached the goal of the sun, I deleted all the sunflowers just to minimize it. But in this level, we finally reached the goal just before we ended the level, making this a nice fun level which I quite enjoyed doing. But throughout Pirate Seas, there's a lot of levels where you have to reach a certain amount of sun, so during these levels we will consider sunflower acceptable, because without it, it would be an impossible challenge. Day 14 was a build your defense type level, and obviously these levels are always beautiful because they're very easy and you could just beat them without trying. You place down all your good characters because you have a lot of sun, and they're never really challenging up to this point anyways. Same with Ancient Egypt, we're just gonna skip these levels to save some time. Day 15 was quite a tricky day, which we had a three-peater top left which removed to get some extra sun, which was very plentiful, failed multiple times, which I eventually overthrown in this attempt that you're seeing on screen right now. But this level was quite a difficult level because the mushrooms on the left could not be crossed by any zombie or it's an instant fail, which was quite tough, but eventually I found out a method that would work using infernos as well as blaze leaves and a bit of snapdragons to kill all the zombies that were attacking, and turned out to be quite an easy level once I planned it correct. And they destroyed the imps, which was the notorious bad guys that always exploded, sending imps everywhere, and a couple of them got very close in this attempt. But overall, we got through it with not too much difficulty, with 2 failed attempts at this, and it was quite fun to do overall, and brings us to day 16. Day 16 is the day where you got 2 endangered bean guys, which push zombies back. But with this level, there was quite an annoying thing that kept coming, and these were the roller zombies, which instantly killed them once they got into range, which made me fail a couple of times, kill the zombies before they could even reach the beans, which was a good plan up until a certain point where it got a bit more difficult, but we prevailed. And with the lack of sun, some of the zombies, especially swinging on the bottom 2 rows, became quite troublesome, so I just sacrificed my lawnmowers to eventually build up enough sun which I could use to kill them. And right here I got enough where I decided to just leave him take the lawnmower, and blaze leaves on the top row would kill the first one, which I was here. And right here you could see that the roller zombie was moving on, and I thought the blaze leaf could get him before he could be squished, and I was instantly wrong about that, eventually taking us out and the imp in our plant and taking our first L. No, we don't take no L's. We ran that stuff back and we took the victory finally after many attempts. I'm not gonna put them all in here because the difficulty's kind of going up, but we eventually won, and that brings us to day 17. Day 17 was quite an easy day where we kind of just had to kill a certain amount of zombies in a certain amount of time, which was quite easy. And the thing about the next couple of levels, I'm just going to be honest with you, keep it very clear. I don't want to waste your time and have a bunch of filler in it. The next couple of levels, they all involve sun producing plants, aka the sunflower, of course, because I have no other producing plants as of right now. And I don't really want to waste your time with them because they were quite easy and I flew through them without much difficulty. And now we can finally involve the wasabi whip after this, but let's just quickly go through so I can show you that I bet all these only using the sunflower and fire plants. Well, day 18 wasn't a sun producing level. It was actually a level where all the plants were pre-selected, and yet again a level I physically cannot do only using fire plants, as none of the fire plants have been selected, which we made quick and light work of it. Moving on to day 19. Day 19 is a day which has the sun producing as well as a unique mushroom level. If you remember, right here in the middle, if a zombie passes it, you will lose, but due to the influx of sun that we had from being able to use a sunflower, because if not we couldn't pass the level, made it a very light, easy level. Moving us on to day 20. Day 20, actually the easiest level of the past couple of levels, so yeah, very easy, very beautiful, and we move on to day 21. Day 21. This day was a very easy day which had 2 gimmicks where you have to kill a certain amount of zombie in a certain amount of time, as well as produce a certain amount of sun. Very easy, we flew through it and we can finally start using the wasabi whip. Now day 22 was a build your defense level which gave us a lot of sun, so we had 3 layers of wasabi whip, which was actually very useful. But like I said, I just wanted to try out some of the plant food, see what I was really holding, because I didn't really get to try it out in this world. But we made day 22 light work and we quickly zoomed on to day 23. Day 23 had the similar gimmicks as previous levels of having the mushrooms that cannot be trampled, as well as killing a certain amount of zombies in a certain amount of time, which was kind of filled with piracies where they always had a lot of gimmick levels, which at times were enjoyable, but with the vast amount they had, it was kind of annoying just, doing these ones, especially. At least it wasn't a sun one, so we could fully do this only using fire plants, and we finally got to experience a lot of the beauties of the wasabi whip. Not too much happening, and it was easy level overall, ending it with a beautiful plant food just to hurry everything up because we were going to win anyways. And we move on to day 24. Day 24 was actually quite a difficult level and had me replaying it multiple times to eventually beat it, but we eventually got it done with a unique thing which I found out, that the broad bean actually ducks underneath some of the flying seagulls, which I kept getting eliminated by. And I just placed a blaze leaf behind them one tile just so they could finish them off, because they're quite fast and normally they don't really get it. But blaze beans hit all wave kind of shoot effect really was useful, and with the help of some fire please to help kill some of these faraway imps cannons was very useful, and it led me to beat the level a bit easier, but overall was still quite a difficult level. And we finally got to beat it and move on to the final day involving the boss battle. Woo! Day 25. This is a level which could actually be done only using fire plants, okay? We're going to count the coconut cannon as a plant that is fire because it's a fuse. It shoots a bomb which explodes, which I'm gonna say is fire. But there's a conveyor level which technically I would normally allow to use all plants, but due to this, it actually could be done. I tried it multiple times. No one went to reset if we had a bad start and whatnot, but eventually we got a brilliant run through. We started off with a coconut cannon beautifully that we could instantly take some health off the boss, but as you can see, a technique I used to make sure that we always had enough slots for more fire plants is I'd place down a plant and I'd remove it with the shovel as fast as I possibly can. I have to also look at the thing, keep a track of everything, as well as just having a whole view of everything. So there's times where I just wasn't able to remove the plants fast enough for them to deal damage, which isn't the perfect thing, but was the best I could do with what I had. There was times where it got really rough, where we had no plants at all in place to take down this gigantuar, whatever you want to call it, and we just had to sacrifice our lawnmower. But a lot of the times where we thought we were in rough, Dr. Zomboss would take out all his guys as well as my guys, which I was willing to take to save as much as we could, and looked very rough, and I was getting quite nervous that we might lose once again, being another one to the lost count. But we flew through with the plant foods using on the cannon, and as well as just being able to destroy him. And with some of the most clutchest cherry bombs of all time, there was a point where we had no plants on the field, but we somehow came through and won. This was one of the clutchest and one of the hardest levels I've done so far in this series, and it's only going to get more difficult from here. Welcome to the Wild West, and first of all, we were introduced to how minecarts work, but I'm sure that all of us already know how they work. It's a day one, so there's nothing too significant to come from this day one, except for the minecarts and new mechanics of the Wild West world, where we can place one fire pea down and it can actually attack all lanes, which is actually really cool, but it does sacrifice building extra plants on those lanes. But other than that, it was, like I said, a day one, so we made quick work and we yet again unlock the character we cannot use. So that brings us to day two. Woo! Before we get to day two, this was by far already shaping out to be the hardest challenge I've ever done for PvZ. To help us aid in that frustration, let's add some new plants to our arsenal. Look, we can't use any of them, so you know what we gotta do? We gotta go to the store. On opening the store, we went to look for some fire plants that we can actually use, and let's just say we purchased a good few. And these plants actually had quite unique abilities, and I purchased two. Let me know if these were good decisions, bad decisions, because I actually don't know if I was using them effectively. And don't forget 7,000 likes and I'll buy all the premium fire plants in the game. The bank's not going to like that one. And number one, we have a plant which I was told quite often about, going to be the meteor plant. This plant was so cool to have because it literally does what it says. Shoots meteors from the sky to hit zombies, and it leaves a beautiful lava trail kind of there that deals overtime damage, which I thought was insane the first time I used it. But with the 250 sun cost, it was quite expensive, especially in a run where we can't use any sun. It was quite unique. Number two, we have the boom berry. This was a berry plant, quite obvious, that cost 225, and attacking the last enemy in its lane, stunning it for a short amount of time. I didn't really like this feature in this world, which might become useful in later worlds, but for now it wasn't my favorite, and if I was using it wrong, let me know too, because I'm not the best at using blueberry. So let me know in the comments how you actually use it effectively. So with that, let's go back to Wild West and let's beat and defeat day two. Day two began with our beautiful new loadout and a couple of mine shafts that we made good use of, but with the plants being quite more expensive, and I did want to try them out, especially on one of the first levels I'm going to use them. I did want to save up and buy them each, and thankfully there was two like mine shafts that covered all five, so with two plants I would be able to attack all lanes, which I was happy about not knowing them. But especially with boomberry being our first plant that we got to try, I did not know what to expect, and it was quite weird that it went in the middle of both two lines, so I assumed that it did multi-lane damage, but through my use of it in this level, it didn't seem like that, so I was a bit confused, but it was still done. Placing down a meteor flower because I had no clue what it entailed, other than obviously shooting down meteors from the sky to hit zombies. They were quite slow action, which I didn't really like, but I did like the amount of damage they did do. So overall, I did enjoy using this plant, but we did have to sacrifice our bottom lane lawnmower to get it done. And after this, we flew through day two using only boomberry and meteor flower to beat the level, bringing us to day three. Day 3 was the day where we wanted to show Wasabi Whip some love, and I decided to put 2 of them on both of the minecarts, which would allow me to attack all lanes. And I finally got to know how much damage the Wasabi Whip. I can't speak, what the f. And with the meteor flower, we finally got to understand what these premium plants can actually do. And this really put me onto the meteor flower as a plant that I'm going to use definitely going on. And we encountered some new zombies, which was this piano zombie, which quickly got violated by our peashooter and Wasabi Whip combo. And they just changed the lane that the zombie approaches, which is kind of annoying. But overall, we dealt with it with our beautiful setup, allowing us to have quite an easy day 3. Nothing too serious. Yet again, it is a day 3, so nothing too difficult will come of this day. Moving us to day 4. Day 4, a level where there was not a single fire plant able to be used, as it was a conveyor level, as well as a weird like gate level. I hated this. I don't know who was in charge of level design. I really dislike this in Wild West. That's probably just me. I just don't like these levels at all. And as we cannot beat this without using a fire plant, we're going to skip it to save us some time, because there's a lot of levels in this Wild West where plants are pre-selected or just a conveyor level. So we're going to skip them all to save us some time, because there's a lot of levels we have to get to. Day 5 was a day that had a beautiful mineshaft in the middle, which I ended up putting a beautiful Wasabi Whip on, so I could quickly take care of any zombies that got a bit too close for my liking to taking out some of our lawnmowers. And it actually worked quite effective, as it had universal use. And we made quick work of any zombie that got too close with its beautiful power output compared to its cost. Eventually, I'm thinking of building up a boomberry assault on the middle 3 rows, so I could fully understand how good this plant was, doing a lot of damage to the cone head, but not enough for me to really appreciate the cost of the 225, especially with no sunflowers, which I thought was alright for the price. And I felt that Inferno did a better job as well as pushing plants back for the amount of damage and cost. But I still ended up using it to see if it did multi-lane damage, which I didn't see happen at all. But overall, it became quite a difficult level, especially after the first wave, where I had to use Wasabi's Whip's special ability of hitting a 3x3 area to kill a lot of the plants. But a couple of the zombies that blew up and went behind caused a lot of damage, but we ended up killing them with a fire piece special ability using the plant food. But the bottom lane became heavily attacked with no plants there to back me up, so I was really struggling, but we ended up pulling it through. And with the amount of zombies that attacked the boomberries just couldn't handle that amount of force. So we ended up losing 1 lawnmower. But honestly, with the amount of zombies that attacked the boomberries, 1 lawnmower was actually quite surprising. But we ended up having no plants on 3. But hey, we won the level and we go on to day 6. Day 6 was a plan your defense level. And we all know how these go. They're a walk in the park, very easy, and they're quite nice levels, you know, to get a break from the intensity that was about to commence. But with that, let's just go on straight to day 7. Well, day 7 is a day where, yet again, we actually could beat it with fire plants, but due to the easiness of it, there's not really much to cover here. I kind of just put an Inferno on a mine cart and put it up and down so it pushed zombies back, and I had a whole row of Snapdragons, kind of trying to refrain from using Blaze Leaf a bit too much, because I do feel like it's kind of making the gameplay a bit easy and a bit boring to watch. But with that, we move on to day 8. Day 8 was a level which was actually a conveyor level, and yet again we could not be using fire plants, as there was no method of doing it with only fire plants, as the conveyor only had pea shooters, walnuts, and a couple of other Wild West specific plants that you unlock throughout completing it. So day 8 is a level that yet again we cannot do, pushing us to day 9. Day 9, yet again a level that there was pre-selected plants and we couldn't be only using fire plants, as we were given no fire plants and we could not beat them. So we just bet them normally and moved on to a day yet again we can beat with fire plants. Day 10 was actually one of the first levels in the last couple of levels where we could actually beat the level only using fire plants. And this level was quite eventful, and I decided, hey, I haven't used the Blaze Leaf in a while, we might as well throw it down. Matter of fact, let's use 2 of them so we can really excel at what we do best, and that's doing and playing with the Blaze Leaf. Obviously makes quick work of all the zombies here, which is not a surprise because, come on, they're the Blaze Leaves. And as well as a meteor flower, this really adds to the combo, as the Blaze Leaves would break them down and then the meteor would break them down. I was really scared about the chicken zombie man, but the Blaze Leaves made it really light work of the chicken man, which I was quite scared about playing against, especially only using fire plants, because obviously the electrical plant, the electric like spread plant, what's the name of it? Well, anyways, the electric plant is one that you should be using against it, that I normally use just to be safe. But with Blaze Leaf on hand and its beautiful special ability, yet again, we made quick and easy work of day 10. Day 11 was a level I weirdly had a lot of fun playing, especially that we could only use 500 sun, which was probably enough for maybe about 2 of Infernos, which I planned, and we had 2 rails, which made sense, so we used them, of course. This is where things got really fun. So the Inferno obviously sent in a tornado, which absolutely violated my ears every time I attacked a zombie, but it was fun moving the Inferno from one lane to the next lane and it just destroying all zombies in its whole row. And I eventually had 2 Infernos, which was going crazy, which was just really fun, and it wasn't really a tough level overall, but I had a lot of fun just moving and mixing and matching the Infernos from which lane to where they're supposed to be, and overall it was just a really enjoyable level. It's been weirdly one of the funnest levels I had in a while, especially these gimmick levels. But overall, day 11 was quite an easy day, and that moves us on to day 12. Hey, welcome back to these stupid weird fence levels which I don't enjoy. Let's skip them. Day 13. This is another beautiful day where we got 2 Minecraft, which actually I was quite excited to play some Infernos on, which I thought would be really fun. You know, it's kind of like whack-a-mole, but in PvZ. You get to put down an Inferno, you get to move it, and it shoots a fiery tornado, which was quite fun. What's better than 1 Inferno? 2 Infernos. I had a lot of fun doing this level, but I decided, hey, this would be a perfect level to try out some meteor flowers as well as Infernos, which would be a cool combo. And I finally got to actually try out the meteor flower plant food ability, which just sends out more meteors, which is obviously to be expected. But I made a couple of bad decisions of just trying to move the bull zombie animal robot. Unique opponent. I don't really know what it is, but I had a lot of fun overall, and it wasn't really a challenging level yet again. It's kind of more the later levels, to be more particular day 18, which it was quite tough, but day 13 overall quite an easy level. And we move on to day 14. Day 14 is the day I decided, hey, let's go for a new start layout that I normally wouldn't go for, which I've been doing for all of the Wild West so far, except for a couple where instead of using the blaze leaf to start, I said, hey, let's use the next best plant, the Snapdragon. And I quickly remembered why I disliked starting with Snapdragon, because he does such little damage when it's just him that he nearly gets eaten when he's trying to kill a zombie. Like right here, as you can see, he gets a good couple chomps and then he's dead. And if this is done more than 2 times, he's dead. But you can see this Snapdragon here, if he's not blocking him, we lost a lot more over this. But nevertheless, I used an Inferno to back him up, which overall left it a lot better. But I was kind of worried about the chicken zombies, sending out the chickens, which are notorious for running through, especially the top lane where I didn't have any lawnmowers left to save me just in case. But they actually did their job and killed the chickens, which I was really worried about. But overall, after this hurdle was jumped and building up enough Snapdragons to deal enough damage to kill whatever zombie would show up, it actually went smooth sailing. So at the start there's a bit of turbulence, but overall this level balanced out to be quite an okay level, and we're starting to see the difficulty of Wild West in this challenge to present itself. But overall, after this, yeah, day 14 was quite okay, and we move on to day 15. Well, day 15 actually wasn't a level that I couldn't do without fire plants. It was quite an easy level where I only used Infernos to really blow through, and there's not really to cover, so let's move on to day 16. Day 16 was an endangered plant gimmick level, which you all know we have to protect the walnut, which I could have plant fooded to give it extra life, but hey, I'm good enough at the game where I didn't need that. Placed an Inferno at the bottom row just to push back the zombie to save us a bit of time, but I decided, hey, Wasabi Whip is actually quite a cheap plant and is very good. It can defend both forward and backwards, and knowing those dynamite zombies that fly behind you is actually quite lethal. Why not? And I got into a bit of trouble, so I put in a blaze leaf cannon to try to clean up all my mistakes I made, and it ended up saving me a lot. And at this point, I even forgot what the Wasabi Whip could hit behind, and this was really surprising. So I was really happy with my decision to go with the Wasabi Whip in this level, and with the amount of damage they did killing off the stone and the cone head zombies, which was really prevalent in this level, was really great decision to use. And I was surprised that I got enough sun to place down so many Wasabi Whips, which ended up making it quite an easy level. And with the blaze leaf, just to add up on extra damage in the top and bottom layers, you know, the 3x3 it damages, just made it a nice level, moving us on to day 17 with quite decent ease. Day 17 actually was a really easy level, except for the last second where this conehead zombie got so unbelievably close that I actually jumped out of my chair, because I was like, there's no way I bet the level, and the last millisecond this zombie crossed it. But thankfully it didn't count, and we moved on to day 18. Day 18. Oh wow, was I naive. I prepared a defense level. A level I chuckled at, I laughed at. I even had fun. I just placed down a bunch of random stuff knowing, hey, how could I go wrong? and the amount of L's I took from these stupid chickens over and over and over. This took me so long. Single-handedly, this level was the longest level that I've ever done in this playthrough so far. And if this is how it's going to be going forward, Dark Ages is going to be a hell of a challenge. I try my best not to use Blaze Leaf. This was the only level I had to use Blaze Leaf because I didn't want to, because I felt it was a bit too overpowered, which it showed evidently. I tried this level maybe 10 to 15 tries. Maybe I'm just cooked at this game, but I genuinely don't know what was happening. I kept losing and losing. I maybe spent 2 hours just on this level. It was so long, but after using the Blaze Leaf, I got on the second try in the clip that you're seeing actually right now, and I had to use the plant food. Everything had to be pulled out to use this. This level 18. I don't know what was wrong, but these chickens were on my tail the whole time. But we finally got it done. Thankfully, we can move on. Day 19. This was a really easy day too, where we couldn't lose 2 plants and we only had a certain amount of sun that we could use. And this was quite an easy level, especially after the notorious day 18 we had, where it literally took me maybe 2 hours, 2 hours, 13 minutes and 9 seconds exactly to beat one level. So after this, I was fine taking one go to beat a level, because I deserved it after those 18. I don't know, it was just stupidly hard, which it nearly broke me from this challenge. I was like, oh, we're only on world 3. But here we go, on to day 20. Day 20 was a conveyor level. Like, you already know my opinions on it. Quite an easy level. Don't like it, and we cannot beat it with fire plants. So this is going to be a level that we're going to have to do with the plants given. So on to day 21. Day 21 was also a day which was kind of uneventful. Same with day 22. They were quite, well, day 21 was actually a level I could do with fire, and day 22 being a level that I couldn't do because it was pre-selected. They were by honestly the same in entertainment value. They didn't really have much. And let's just go on to day 24, where there's a bit more to talk about. Day 24, well, honestly being another easy level due to me using Blaze Leaf as one of the plants and me just stacking all the endangered plants into one line and defending them with an inferno as well as the Blaze Leaf. It was quite an easy level, and also had a couple of challenges, being the chickens, which notoriously are very annoying. Everybody can agree that they're stupid characters that always cause a couple of deaths once in a while, but overall we kind of went through it with a bit of ease, but not too easy, causing a bit of harm, by far allowing us to just say that this is the hardest world that we have yet to encounter, and only going progressively going to get harder and harder the deeper we go in. And the final wave, due to the Blaze Leaf plant food, just made it very easy, sending us to day 25 being the boss battle. Woo! The boss battle, Dr. Zomboss. I know it's quite sad, as you can see, that there is no fire plants on the screen because it's a conveyor level where in this boss battle there was no fire plants that we could use. Don't worry, the next world, the Frostbite Caves, for sure will have a couple of fire plants that we can end the world off using fire plants, but for now there's nothing we can do. But we successfully beat him, showing and confirming that you can beat the Wild West only using fire plants. Welcome to the Frostbite Caves. This is day 1 of 30, so we're gonna have to get through this a bit quicker than usual, but nevertheless, we continue with day 1. On day 1, we are introduced to a new power-up, being a fire power-up. And a couple of you have been asking, will I be able to use this, in the comments of previous ones like the Wild West as well as Pirate Seas coming up to this world. And I was thinking about it, and I feel like we should be allowed. You know, we're not allowed to use power-ups in this world, or this whole challenge, the series of beating Plants vs Zombies 2 only using fire, but it's a fire one. We might as well be able to use it while we have it, and yeah, it'd be quite cool to have, but we'll only use it when needed. We're not going to rely on it. So yeah, quickly removing the walnuts when I feel like they're about to be used. I completely forgot to remove them when I started because they have to defrost, and we put down a Snapdragon to really get those 3 middle lanes that they overlap with the wasabi whip to cause a lot of damage, and it was actually quite nice. But with all the extra sun, we placed down an inferno, which really made day 1 a really light and easy level, obviously because it's the day 1, and we finished up with 3 infernos, which really caused a lot of damage and pushing us to day 2 and a nice introduction to the Frostbite Caves. Day 2 is where I actually started making notice of these two hand signals that push plants into different lanes, which I can't believe I didn't notice in day 1 where I even effectively like built my offense against them. But this is the first level I actually noticed them, and there was a lot of defrosted plants which I really didn't know what to do, and we did unlock the hot potato, which was useful, and selling these plants so I couldn't use them gave me some back, some of the upgrades I got from previous worlds, which came in quite useful, and we built up a beautiful wasabi defense, which ended up being very lethal. And I really enjoyed using the wasabi whip. Using snapdragons between the wasabi whips really just made it a lot easier, and I took down a meteor flower because why not? I had enough sun for it, and with the amount of plants we had, we made quick and easy work of day 2 sending us to day 3 without even defrosting the repeaters in the back lane. Day 3 was the quickest and fastest conveyor level I've ever seen, and this was a level where we couldn't do it only using fire plants as we weren't given any of the fire plants, but that will change later on, so we're just going to skip this day, moving us to day 4. Day 4 was a level where I decided to use blaze leaf once again, and I kind of made a bad decision placing a plant just above the tile switch lane hand signal, but this didn't cause too much problem until the zombies started coming at a more frequency, and it was quite difficult to deal with, and we did end up losing one of the blaze leaves, but overall it was quite an easy level. The first 5 days I normally just settle into the new world, and we were introduced to a new zombie, being a lion head zombie. I don't know the official name, but he chose a snowball, which I assume does damage to normal plants, but due to us only using fire plants, caused no damage and really didn't pose any threat, just being a slower normal zombie. And with a cheeky meteor flower and a couple of wasabi whips to clean up all things, we made quick and light work of day 4 as well, not being too much struggle, because the struggle was later to come. Moving us to day 5. Day 5 was a conveyor level which I didn't originally think I could do until I saw us get given some fire plants. Being just given the opportunities to beat it with an actual fire plant because it's literally burning, I was like, look, we're going to keep on going until I can't get it done. And we actually eventually got it done, but it was a very hard battle because we kept getting given lettuces. And we don't want those. The bell peppers were given to us quite scarcely, so I tried my hardest to place down some plants to get rid of it, to free up the conveyor so I could get more into the corners that I wasn't really using, and tried my fastest to delete them, but I wasn't there on time for every single time. But it was quite hard overall, and I tried my best to just delete them the second I could. And after defrosting all the lettuces and a lot of the lawnmowers being used, or the beavers to be used, we got to the last wave where it was really up to the final lawnmower to remove the last lane and for the bell peppers to kill off some of the throne zombies, which we actually made it through, which I was really happy that I only used bell peppers and fire plants to do it. And yeah, it was quite a unique level, and it just showed me the difficulty of the Frostbite Caves already in day 5, which you thought would be easier because it's an ice world, but nevertheless, day 6. Day 6, I got pre-selected plants. They expected me to use sunflower, so I didn't use sunflower because it's fire plants only, and we're not allowed to use sunflower at all. So I locked in saving up sun is what do you call the sun that falls from the sky? The sun that came from the sky. I saved up enough to get 2 wasabi plants, and stealing the sun that it produced from me selling it, I built another wasabi plant. I waited for it to pass because it hits 2 tiles above it and 2 tiles behind it, so it's actually quite cool. And because I was really feeling myself, I decided to put down a cheeky inferno in the middle because I knew it caused a lot of damage, and I accidentally put down a spike plant. We don't talk about that. It was a mistake. Saving up enough sun then to have 2 wasabis back to back, it really just flew through because it killed all the zombies that came out, because there was no buckethead zombies that I know wasabi whip couldn't deal with, but it can definitely deal with coneheads alone. So I wasn't really scared, and we actually flew through this level. Eventually I put down some bell peppers behind them just to cause even more damage, and in these levels the inferno, because they push back plants as well, they are absolutely lethal, and I really enjoyed this feature of pushing back, so I'm happy with my purchase. No plans purchased today, but yeah, it's still real life money, so yeah. Damn. But overall, we actually finished this level with quite ease. I even tried to build up multiple bell peppers because why not, have it nice and symmetrical, and move this on to day 7. Day 7 was quite another typical day, and I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Day 7, day 8, and even day 9 were really kind of boring levels to go over. Nothing really special happened. We didn't really unlock anything new, so we're going to skip them over, showing you the victory. I only used fire plants to confirm that. And we have a lot of levels to go through. There's 30 levels in the Frostbite Caves. That's a lot more levels than the usual 25 like the previous 3 worlds. So we kind of want to go a bit quicker through these worlds. So Day 10 was a conveyor level, which I thought, okay, maybe we'll be able to beat this with fire plants. Nope, it was just pea shooters. So yeah, straight after those couple of easy levels, we get straight to a level that we can't even do with fire plants. So okay, now we go on to day 11. 11 started with a lot of waves at the top, so I was a bit nervous, like damn, this level's gonna start tough. But look, there's nothing Blaze Leaf can't do. It makes quick and easy work of a regular old zombie, and I'm like, oh, okay, we can just do the Blaze Leaf method, you know, put one on lane 4, lane 2. But then a cone head came out and quickly violated my whole game plan and ate my Blaze Leaf, and there's no sunflowers allowed in this playthrough, so sun was not nice. And then thankfully sun came from the sky again. I put down a cheeky inferno and it did its thing from there, dealing a lot of damage and also pushing back. Couldn't ask for better RNG. Yeah, I put infernos on every single lane because I was fed up of losing, and real winners win. So I had to do what I had to do. I put infernos on every single time, and they were actually like the best way of killing those dodo birds that just decide, nah, I'm not gonna switch lanes and just fly over. So they were definitely the best ones that I found out from day 11 that I used for the rest of this world to deal with the dodo birds. Yeah, it was quite nice too. Yeah, and with the final wave absolutely violating my air drums because SFX was way too high, and yeah, just have a listen for yourself. Yeah, I was listening to that the whole level, which was really annoying. But after this level, I turned it down, so it wasn't good. But day 11, it was quite nice overall, and we bounced back with our Blaze Leafs, and we move on to day 12. Day 12, prepare your defense level. You already know wham. Place down a lot of infernos once again because I love them in this level. I don't know, they're really just nice. They push back zombies, they deal a lot of damage, kind of like just nuisances, menaces to this game, this level. And yeah, it was quite easy. Moving on to day 13. Day 13 had a do not trample the plants level, you know, the mushrooms down the first and second lane just between them. But you know, we started off with an inferno. 2 zombies came out. I was like, oh, I'm cooked. But we made quick and easy work. I got happy, got a plant food, and then a cone head came out. I was like, oh, my Blaze Leaf is cooked. But I ended up trying to save him and waiting for the wave to perfectly come on time to try to kill as much as I could with the plant food, but ended up perfectly working somehow. And I just started building up a beautiful inferno. It gets to a point in the level where you kind of just fly through until this Gigantua came through, which had like 16 imps, which I've never seen before. And yeah, it was crazy. He kept throwing imps, which I thought was like, oh, he's going to eliminate me because he keeps throwing the imps and they're going to kill. So I had to put down a wasabi whip, but we made quick work of him eventually, which was quite troublesome. We had to use a lot of our plant foods on him, put down a wasabi whip, and we finally burnt him to death, which was gorgeous. And we move on to day 14. Day 14, I hated it. We only got to use 1 plant, technically 2 plants, but what's the use of a hot potato? It just melts plants. We had to save up 200 sun per bell pepper, and it was so hard. I kept losing until eventually winning. And I don't want to talk about it anymore because it caused me a lot of pain and like an hour to beat. Day 15 started off with us placing a Blaze Leaf 1 tile in front of the tile that switches the zombies lane, just to make sure they don't, if they reach it, that we don't lose a Blaze Leaf. And we made quick work, and overall it was quite a beautiful level where we got endangered plants, which were fire plants, which went with the beautiful theme of beating PvZ2 only using fire plants. And overall it wasn't a tricky level. I did lose a couple of times due to the endangered plants being killed, but I found this method with the wasabi whip and Blaze Leaf, made quick and easy work of it, and we're finally feeling the difficulty of Frostbite Caves actually hit. I thought it would be really easy because it's an ice level. I thought everything would be like super strong here, which it is, but overall it was quite easy once I started putting in some infernos. I put 1 behind the bottom endangered plant and then 1 on top of the top row behind the endangered plant too, and it just made it a lot easier. Finishing off day 15 with 2 fail attempts and finally beating it on my 3rd attempt, bringing us to day 16 and unlocking a weird stone rock thing. Yeah, that didn't really mean anything. Day 16 was a conveyor level, which we actually did get a couple of fire plants, being the hot potato and as well as the bell pepper thrower, basically the pepper pult. And it just, the rate that we were getting the pepper pult, and obviously the hot potato didn't really mean anything because we were only using fire plants. It just wasn't enough to beat this level. I tried many times, just wasn't working. So day 16 is going to be a day we actually can't do with fire plants, and we're given some fire plants but not enough to beat the level. And this is unrelated, but Pepper Pult's plant food ability is terrible. Yeah, anyways, day 17. Day 17, if you weren't doing a fire only challenge, it would be quite beautiful to have some of these shrooms down already. But you know, I just collected enough sun, fell from the sky, placed down a beautiful Blaze Leaf, and it actually took out all these ones that I could sell for more sun, which gave me enough sun to place down, and instantly another blaze leaf, which I put down. With the influx of sun, I got enough for an inferno, and I kind of just built it from there. I did have to sacrifice the top lawnmower, and we did see a new zombie that I haven't really noticed until this point that pushes out 3 ice imps. As you can see on the right side of the screen right now, he's slowly pushing them out. But overall, they weren't really that challenging, and day 17 was yet again one of the easier Frostbite Caves levels, so nothing too much to talk about on this level other than a beautiful victory. Moving us to day 18. Oh boy, are we in for a good couple of stinkers. Day 18, another level that we just weren't given any fire plants, and we quickly flew through it. Nothing special. There's a couple of onion guys that just kind of stacked them. It was kind of like the bean from the Wild West. I mean, it's quite unique, I guess. But yeah, other than that, we move on to day 19 with quick and easy level, because it's a conveyor level. Day 19, again, it was a fire level, so we could beat it, but it was really easy again, and there was nothing too special that happened in these couple of levels. We did unlock a playground in day 20, which was cool, I guess, for just playing regularly. But other than that, day 20. Day 21, the same kind of thing. A conveyor level that actually had fire plants, and it gave us a lot of fire plants, fire pea and Snapdragon, which went absolutely crazy towards the end. Yeah, and none too crazy here. Move on to day 22. Quite similarly, it was really easy. So let me just do a favor. Instead of going through every single one, I'm just going to show you the victory, and we're going to get to the levels where they actually get quite interesting. So with that, day 22, that is us beating it only using fire plants. Day 23 was an endangered plant, and you know, it was quite easy. Beat that level 2, and we move on to day 24, which was a bit different. We had to do a sun production level, but you know, we couldn't beat that without using sunflowers, so that was done. Day 25 just couldn't be done only using bell peppers, because it was a conveyor level and it had to be done because you got the bell peppers so late into the level. Day 26 as well was just really easy. I bet that were like 5 plants, and I just added extra ones because why not? Free time. Day 27 was really easy until the final wave where 2 gigantuars came, and I don't know what's up with these Frostbite Caves giganticoids, but they throw out like 5 imps. Shit was crazy as hell. But overall, we actually went through it quite easily. I eventually violated him, pushing us to day 28. 28 was a plan your defense level, and you already know what I said like in previous worlds and stuff like that. We flew through it, pushing it to day 29, which was fire pea flipping heaven. It was so many fire peas, which I loved, making it quick. So I didn't mind pushing us to you know what. Boss battle! The Frostbite Caves boss battle. This the mammoth boss, whatever you want to call it. This was quite an enjoyable boss level. Yeah, it just was not giving us frequent fire plants to beat this only using fire plants. I tried, I failed. After 10 attempts, I was like, oh, it can't be beaten. It can't be beaten because you get so little fire plants at the start. They literally go through your lawnmowers and just violate it. But you know, it was a nice, enjoyable battle that we got done, and we eventually just flew through it after a certain point because we literally filled up the lanes like up to the brim of the ice sheets. And I didn't know you could use the hot potato against the barriers blocking the boss, which was really cool to see that the hot potatoes couldn't be used on those too, because the fire plants that you did get to place would just melt the ones on your plants, so you kind of just had them building up in the conveyor. But other than that, it was a beautiful level, and actually so far was my favorite like level world boss to do. But eventually beating it, unlocking the key to the lost city. Welcome to the lost city. And before we go any further, if I sound a bit off, it's because I'm kind of sick right now and I have a sore throat, but that doesn't matter. We have PvC to cover. With 32 levels in this world, let's just begin. And before we begin, let's get some new plants to add to the arsenal. So these are the plants that are given to us from the Lost City, through the Lost City. And as you can see, they don't really have much fire plants at all. So we're gonna have to change that with money. Look, I wanna scratch my itch for all the fire plants in the game. I haven't tried them all. So we bought some plants. Okay, we only bought 2. Yeah, let me know if this was a good decision, because I honestly don't know. 7,000 likes and I'll buy all the fire plants in the game. So first though, we have the Pyro Vine. This plant wraps around our already pre-placed plant, so you can place 2 plants on the same one. And when you use a plant food, it also uses a special ability, which is really cool. Next up, making his first appearance in this playthrough, being the Peppermint. Yeah, it's this free plant, single-use plant that is insanely overpowered, and it boosts all fire plants in it
which this challenge is about, which is really good. And also attacks all lanes, doing a lot of damage. Now, making our way to the Lost City. Day 1 of the Lost City introduced us to a new game mechanic known as the sunflower tile. And as you can tell by its name, when you place a plant on it, as shown, it gives you a sun. And then day 1 is the first day that I used it, and also the last day, deciding to ban this completely outright, except for when the digger zombie picks up plants and throws it back into it, which would be a later problem. But for now, we're going to enjoy it for day 1, and after this, it is banned. Overall, day 1 is quite easy and nice introduction into the Lost City, moving us to day 2. Day 2 was a day where they tried to force me to use some of these plants and pick up one of my seed slots, which I didn't do, didn't enjoy. So I sold them and placed down some blaze leaves, which were beautiful, placed down 2, and we were introduced to some newer zombies, being pilot zombies, which fall from the sky and just drop down on some of our plants, but in this day they didn't. And with our beautiful placement and a beautiful use of wasabi whip, we made the day into quick and easy work, sending us to day 3. Day 3 was a conveyor level where you can already see where I'm going at. We could beat this with fire plants only, and I was really happy about this. We only had to use one plant, lava guava, and let me just say, this was challenging. Day 3 was already shaping out to be really hard, but with trial, error, 45 waves of zombies coming through, we somehow got it done. And with the spread damage that it did, and the bucket heads caused a lot of problems, we eventually got it done, and wow, was I proud of myself. We did it. So we were still 3 levels in, and we could beat it with fire plants, which is, yeah. Let's not even talk about the final wave where there was like 40 zombies and I had no lawnmowers left. We got it done anyways, okay? It was alright. 32 levels. Day 4. Day 4 tried to be different, giving us a walnut to start off with. I just sold him extra sun, and we flew through it. None crazy at all. Day 4, like I said, 32 levels. Let's move on to day 5. Day 5, gimmick level, where we weren't given any fire plants at all. So being the first day, we can't be only using fire plants, and we also don't have any fire power-ups that we could use, which in the last video I kind of missed the opportunity. We'll be running that shit back. But day 6. Day 6 was Inferno Heaven, where I just put down like 5 rows of Infernos. Day 6 and day 7, I like to call them twins because we just bet both levels only using 5 lanes of Infernos, which was insane, and flew through them, pushing us to day 8. Man, day 8 just had the most nastiest pre-selected plants ever. And mushrooms that you couldn't. Day 9, man. Well, moving on from day 9, a lot of these following levels are really just filler levels, so we're going to rapid fire with a beautiful catchphrase for each level. Day 9 was really just Snapdragon Heaven. Day 10 was just too many fire peas. 11 was too many wasabi whips. Then day 12 was asking for way too much sun to be produced, so I had to use the sun tile, and also just one twin sunflower. I don't know why, but I just felt like just using it as minimum sunflowers as possible. Anyways, day 13 didn't even have any fire plants. Day 14 had fire plants, but couldn't be beaten only using fire plants because the flying mosquitoes would just fly over them. Day 15 just had endangered plants, which was easy. Day 16 was a conveyor level where literally we couldn't even beat because no fire plants again. Okay, now we can go back to a normal pace going through each level with day 17. Day 17 was the first level where something a bit more interesting happened. Nothing too crazy, but we actually finally set to see a beautiful new zombie, the 10th zombie, which dropped down from an imp, and it just set spawning zombies, kind of like a spawn point or even like a tombstone, if that. And we were quickly set out one, and to quickly deal with it, I set down one blaze leaf to deal with it, and I realized it gave me a buckethead zombie, so I couldn't do anything other than place down a peppermint to kill off the tent, as well as damage the buckethead quite a lot. With a cheeky inferno placement on the top row to deal with the 10th zombie, I mean, we made quick work of it, but it didn't push back the tent like I thought it would. But the splash damage did quite enough, and this level just loved a lot of 10 zombies. A lot of excavator zombies is the actual name, but I like to call them digger zombies because they have a shovel and they dig. Yeah, it's not really that creative anyways. But there's nothing blaze leaf can't do. So with 2 blaze leaves, 2 infernos, we made quick and easy work, except for the couple of zombies that decided to come out of the tent to kill my top and blaze leaf. I was quite annoyed, but it was the final wave, so I had all 5 of my lawnmowers, except for the one that we lost, but we don't talk about it. I did a blaze leaf special ability, finished off the last zombie, and we moved on to day 18 with not too much of a scare. Day 18 was a conveyor level that had no fire plants. Day 19. Day 19 was a day where, let me be honest, I don't really fall to the pressure of Plants vs. Zombies 2 because I'm pretty good at gaming. If I say, yeah, I'll shut up. But it was a lot happening in this level that just really caught me off guard, especially the first zombies coming out being 2 imps, then pilot zombies, then digger zombies, and then tents. And like I only had 1 plant down, and it was like maybe 10 seconds into the level. I lost some plants, lost some lawnmowers, and I really just was feeling the pressure for this level, day 19, feeling the difficulty build up. And yeah, it was just didn't all go to my plan. Buggerhead destroyed my blaze leaf on the bottom lane, which just made me sad because 175 sun wasted there. But there's none at a middle lane blaze leaf can't solve. And we're going to unlock a couple of plant foods, which is really going to push me in the way that I need to be in this level at this point. With the wave of zombies coming and just blaze leaf special ability being insane, there was no need to worry at this point because it was just going crazy. We unlocked a purple guy that looks very sad, free, can't use, day 20. Day 20, I attempted this multiple times, trying to give, you know, the new plants their flowers, especially Pyrovine that we just haven't been using in this level. And trust me, in future worlds, they definitely become used more, but particularly Pyrovine because it's not really used too much in this, and it's strictly because the sun output from the sky, because we're not using the sun tiles, is a lot lower than it usually would be, and it's just making it really tough. So we have to rely on blaze leaf, so because it hits multiple lanes, as well as the peppermint for just dealing damage to everything and boosting our blaze leaves. With a huge horde of zombies, I just decide, hey, blaze leaf can deal with all of them in one go, and as you can see, plant food goes crazy with this plant. And we send out the final wave, pushing out the final wave of zombies. And look, there's nothing Pyrovine can't do. So I place him down on top of the blaze leaf, and he does his thing like a flamethrower, dealing a lot of damage with the wasabi whip and the blaze leaf, bringing us to day 21 with ease and unlocking a weird amulet thing that doesn't mean anything to us. So actually on to day 21. Day 21 was a pre-plant selected level, which is actually quite fun. We got to use the toad plant that just like swallowed zombies whole like a weird chomper. Pretty cool, but like I said, pre-selected, can't beat it with fire plants, so we skip it. Day 22, same thing, just a weird level, couldn't beat it with fire plants, so we move on to day 23, which while we're here, quite boring, so we're just gonna 24. Day 24 overall was similar to the other levels. I mean, they all have beautiful sun tile plants spots around when you're here, but they had also flowers that couldn't be trampled, which would set you to be defeated. Overall, none unique. I used the same method, the blaze leaf, because sun was just really scarce and I had to. And you know, we had a couple of Tarzan zombies that decided to skip like 8 tiles, which really scared me, so I just had to use my peppermint to deal with it. But after this, it really became a breeze, pushing us to day 25. Day 25, when I mean blaze leaf was my go-to. Yeah, blaze leaf is really my go-to, and it's quite tragic. I know I kind of want to diversify, but I only got 2 slots, so it's blaze leaf and peppermint, a new plant and an OG plant from one of the first episodes. You know, showing them love, the old and the new. Yeah, we just had like a double blaze leaf setup where row 2, row 4, blaze leaves. I had one in the middle row, lane 3, but then towards the end of the level, I just had extra sun, so I just decided to double them up on lane 2 and 4 and remove the one in lane 3 because I was bored type shit. And blaze leaf never has failed me yet, and you know, peppermint really came true and finished them off, but blaze leaf hasn't failed me yet so far in this playthrough. So yeah, day 26 now up. Day 26 started off with a blaze leaf like always, because you know, sun, you know, the typical excuse, and it gradually got more difficult, like a typical PvZ2 level, not like the other ones where it was just hard off the rip. And it went as expected, as it gradually getting harder and harder and giving me more sun, which went perfectly. Eventually building up 2 blaze leaf, and then having enough sun to have a meteor flower just to pick off and deal some damage before they could reach the blaze leaf. And a couple of zombies getting through, like this Tarzan zombie removing one of my lawnmowers, which is just annoying other than anything else. Yeah, pushing us to day 27 after this because it wasn't too difficult, and unlocking our plant that we just don't need. Day 27, you already know how we started. 2 blaze leaves, and we just go from there. But you wouldn't expect how this level turned out. 2 Inferno and 2 Pyrovine. Yeah, you could probably predict that. No, none too crazy. got pretty hectic, especially with the final wave coming in. But with the amount of plants we had and the plants that we did have out there, like the blaze leaf, cheeky plant food would just eliminate everybody and just leave some of the bucket heads damaged, and you know, they were quickly dealt with by the inferno. Yeah, pushing us to day 28 without too much hassle overall. Day 28 had a couple of weird tiles, fire tiles, which quite intrigued me, but yeah, you just couldn't beat the level only using them, so I just couldn't do that. And they also had boulder tiles, which is quite cool too, kind of Indiana Jones type stuff, which was really cool, that we also had in the previous level in the start of the video. But yeah, couldn't beat this, moving us to day 29. Day 29, you already know how we started off. We started off with 2 blaze leaves on row 2, row 4, just to make sure we can attack all lanes possible. Beautiful tactic, highly recommend if you have blaze leaf in your plants unlocked to use it like that. Goes crazy. And if you're on a sunflower too, bro, you're chilling. But also, I was really happy with my placement of infernos being on the 1st row, 3rd row, as well as the 5th row. I did this kind of out of symmetry because it looked nice, and I don't know, maybe that says something about my personality. Maybe it diagnoses me with something. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And it actually worked out really well throughout this level, where Gigantitor, whatever they're called, started coming out. The inferno started pushing them back. As you can see right now, I have one on lane 2, lane 3, lane 5, and then I placed one on lane 1, just to have like them spaced out. And the Giganticores came out every single time on that side, which is really nice. And the blaze leaf special ability went insane. The final wave pushing out 2 of them, which was, I was like, I'm cooked. But the lawnmower was there. Final wave, I knew it was a guaranteed victory, and it was, from just victory alone from the plants, which I was good about, and pushing us to day 30. Day 30 just had aura. There was those mushroom guys back. They made an appearance in the lost city, which kind of had me excited. A fresh new start. And then instantly 2 ballerina type zombies just pulled up, and I was like, damn. Forgetting that they can actually be walked on, I remember that like right here. And yeah, it worked out really good. None too crazy. The level just had flying through, which was insane. After putting down my bread and butter, you know, 2 blaze leaves down, and then I had some plant foods, and some of these zombies were getting out of range for the blaze leaf to deal with them, so I just used the special ability just to get it over and done with. And this pushed it to the final wave really quickly. I was really surprised how quick we got to the final wave, and the Tarzan zombies just jumping past them. Look, just plant food it, boom, done. Day 30 just done, literally like that, as quick as you saw. And yeah, pushing us to day 31. Absolute stinker for day 31. I thought it would be something cool, some nice gimmick level, and it was a pre-selected plants of all the plants in the world, which I mean, maybe cool for like a normal playthrough, but it's fire only challenge. So yeah, day 32, here we come, the final boss level. Welcome to day 32, also known as the Lost City boss battle. And as you can see, there's a lot of tiles that do really cool things, and yeah, once in a while those Dr. Zomboss drops a bag that sets out a fire, eliminating the whole row, or sometimes, you know, the zombies walk on the boulder tile, eliminating all my plants in those lanes. It was quite tragic. I thought that maybe I could use the fire tiles behind Dr. Zomboss, placing plants on to maybe use fire only, but yeah, again, this is another boss level that just couldn't be done only using fire. If there was a way, let me know. But welcome to the far future. Usually we'd hit it off with purchasing some new plants, but this time we're just gonna hop in with plants we already have. So starting with day 1. Day 1, we are introduced to new tiles that once we use the plant food, as you can see, they make other plants use the plant food too, which is really, really cool. But we start off the level with some peashooters that obviously we're not allowed to use because they're not fire peashooters. We take them down, and with an influx of sun, over 200, I place down a fire pea and it's in the wrong position. But we eventually save up just enough to place one on the top row, and with the zombies deciding to beautifully come out on the rows that I only have plants on, sun was not a worry for right now. But we were quickly introduced to a new zombie coming from the far future, a jetpack zombie that once in a while flies over the plant when they see them, but wasn't really much trouble. And with a beautiful peppermint boosting the fire plants, shooting even stronger peas out, causing crazy damage, it was quite easy. But it's a day 1, there's nothing too crazy. Took out one of my lawnmowers because I didn't really have any sun to place down anything to protect, but it's a day 1, I wasn't too worried. On to day 2. Day 2 was quite a unique level because look, there's triangles now, and there wasn't much too eventful in day 2. We had a couple of triangles, a couple of X's, the typical stuff. I thought they might have a different power by maybe sun or something like that, but no, it's just another different tile for plant food. I let the cone head get quite far and then placed down a free peppermint that boosts fire plants too, so it was quite unique. And then this mech zombie came out. I thought I was in a bit of trouble, but I kind of just waited till he got quite deep, placed down a wasabi whip, and then powered him up, which just destroyed everybody behind him, which they try to do something, you know. With the final wave, I thought it would be hard, but there's nothing that peppermint couldn't solve, eliminating all 5 of the rows, pushing us straight on to day 5 with not much hassle, being the first 2 days being nice and easy. Really feeling the fire peashooter for the first 2 levels of fire feature. I decided, hey, let's go back to our roots and show the Inferno some love. And yeah, they did their thing. Quite an expensive plant being 200 sun. We did have to take a while to save up with them, and with the fire future, I felt the sun drop from the sky, whatever you want to call it, the natural sun was just quite slow. So I kind of let the build up after a while, and then just to clean everything up, we dealt with all the zombies that weren't in our lane that I had a plant with a peppermint, because the peppermint is crazy. And once I eventually had all the lanes with at least 1 Inferno, I mean, it was barbecue sauce from there. It was really easy. And yeah, there's nothing else to say. It's day 3 of a fire future. The world, it's not too difficult. Yeah, that's just moving us to day 4. Day 4 tried to be different, where as you can see, there was purple sun that explosions can damage plants and zombies. So we had to be careful, but they were coming down at a much quicker rate, which was really good because, you know, more sun for more flowers. Yeah, and as you can see, yeah, the extra sun went a bit crazy with 2 full rows of plants, a full row of Infernos, and a full row of wasabi whips. So if any zombies came near, they would just get absolutely whipped. And I absolutely flew through day 4. Sending us to day 5. 5 was really colorful with a lot of new, just different pattern tiles that have special abilities that will give us extra plant foods for free. And we instantly got set up with a plant food from the first zombie being destroyed by a wasabi whip. After this, we instantly got a lot more wasabi whips, having a whole row of wasabi whips ready for the onslaught that was about to commence. Then this cone mech come out. I put down an Inferno just to keep it back because I knew damn well that the wasabi whip just couldn't handle it. I made the Inferno even struggled to defeat it, but we eventually got it done because it just kept pushing it back over and over and over again. And then we eventually pushed through day 5 without much trouble. You know, it's going quite well so far in the far future world. So with that, we push on to day 6. Day 6 was the first world that imposes pre-selected plants that we just couldn't beat because look, there's no fire plants and we just couldn't beat it without using the plants given. So we move on to day 7, a day that can only be done with fire plants. Well, day 7 being a level where I had basically all the tiles that even interested you at all, but anyways, didn't really make a difference. There was nothing really unique. I put down a couple of blaze leaves, put down a couple of Infernos, and just flew through the level. Nothing really too crazy. I don't want to put too much filler levels here, so let's move on to day 8. Well, talking about filler levels, day 8 was a conveyor level. Yeah, let's just go to day 9. Day 9 had a bit of an interesting gimmick, which didn't really affect me through this play, but interesting to have a couple of gimmicks to freshen up the gameplay, to say. And we couldn't lose 15 plants, which, yeah, was pretty cool. And the beautiful placement of these 2 yellow power tiles was normally where I always put my blaze leaves anyways, so when I did use a plant food, I showed, they went insane, doing 2 insanely damaging blaze leaf superpowers, which was unbelievable. And with them just pushing out a lot of zombies, I used the Inferno special abilities just to bring them all down into like the 2nd lane as well as the 4th lane, which just kind of rounded them all up to make it easier for the blaze leaves to work with, even though it would have been more optimal to bring it into the middle, but just nothing I can do now about that. The final boss wave, well, I thought would be a challenge. The Infernos absolutely did their things, going through all of the force fields that the mech zombies set up, and them just bringing back and absolutely destroying buggerheads and the conehead zombies, pushing us to day 10. Day 10 had literally nothing of importance except for these disco zombies. They were really cool, and they actually brought down 4 zombies quite frequently, kind of like the OG dance from the original game. If you remember, that was really cool. I just thought that was a nice reference. Anyways, we can just move on to day 11 because there's nothing really here to be of interest. Day 11 was a day where it was a plan your defense, and I went quite crazy with the Infernos as well as the meteor flowers, just having 2 full rows of both of these plants. And just because I had extra sun, I put down some vine plants around them just to kill some of the zombies if they get a bit too close. But we absolutely flew through because, yeah, you already know yourself that these plants are insane. pushing us to day 12. Day 12, I really just made a name for myself, starting off with some blaze leaves and eventually developing from blaze leaves on row 2 and row 4. We eventually got some wasabi whips just to pick them off, and just because I like symmetry. We should all know this by now. And this level was really symmetry based, and eventually the gargantuars start coming out and it really pushed some pressure. I put down an inferno just to deal with it and just to kind of speed through this level. And then more gargantuars came out, imp ones, which was insane, and they were just shooting missiles at other zombies and plants. It was quite hectic, and I totally forgot these zombies even existed in the far future, so it kind of caught me off guard. But we actually dealt with it quite well, and I was quite happy how I dealt with it. And yeah, it wasn't really a difficult level overall, just kind of surprising. So yeah, we kind of pushed through it, pushing us to day 13. Day 13 was quite a nice level overall, quite easy. No new zombies coming out just yet, and we don't have all the time in the world, so I kind of want to skip out on some of the fillers. So day 13, as you can see, I completed it only using fire plants, as well as day 14, also been another nice easy level that we kind of just flowed onto, and was, matter of fact, it was even kind of forgettable. I did have a sun limit on it, but that didn't really matter because we didn't really need that much plants to beat it. In this playthrough, kind of flew through, so let's just go through those nice and easily, pushing us day 15. Day 15 had a unique challenge and a gimmick where that we had 3 citrons placed 3 tiles away from where the zombies spawned, and I actually was quite nervous, especially with the rate that the zombies were coming out with a lot of cone heads as well. I was like, oh, I'm cooked, but they perfectly timed it so where they came out they died. But then I ended up spending my sun on a blaze leaf at the front, and I couldn't deal with the zombies coming down the top row and the bottom row, so it was really hectic already. But thankfully the sun was coming out at a beautiful rate where I could put down a blaze leaf on the top row on the blue tile before the zombies could reach the end of the lane and activate the lawnmowers. So it was really, but the game decided to make it a lot harder for me, and it put out 3 cone mech zombies, which I was like, hell no, and I just decided to use blaze leaf plant food, and it just didn't work. But it did just enough damage for the citron to eliminate them fully, which I was really happy about. And then they sent out some cone head zombies after it, trying to clean up and damage my citrons, but they didn't do nothing. After this, the final wave wasn't really much because I ended up just using 3 blaze leaf plant food abilities, and it absolutely violated all the mechs that came out. And quickly sending us to day 16. At day 15, it was actually a nice and challenging level overall, and being one of the better levels that we've done so far. There's nothing like some conveyor levels that give us no fire plants at all, so we can't even beat this. So with that, day 17, and even day 17 couldn't be done with fire plants because it gave us 0 fire plants. It expected us to beat the level with this stupid plant that costs sun to attack, which was really annoying. But you know what? It's a cool gimmick halfway through, more than halfway through the level. With the last 10 levels being done, 3 out of 10. Stinker. Anyways, day 18. Day 18, we actually had to use sunflowers, so it doesn't count as fire plants. So another day we cannot beat due to us having the need to produce 6,000 sun, which, yeah, it's not fire. I know a lot of you saying it's the sun, you know, it's a big ball of fire. No, we're not counting it. So yeah, but for this gimmick level, we are counting it due to that reason, if that makes sense. Anyways, day 19. Day 19, we had the purple sun again that falls from the sky that damages both plants and zombies, if you remember from earlier in the video. And it actually came down at such a beautiful rate. I was kind of greedy trying to switch up the type of layout that I had, putting blaze leaves not on the 2nd and 4th row, which I always do just to save sun. And yeah, I eventually ended up doing it still and put infernos. We flew through the level. There's not too much to document because yeah, we just flew through, and it was absolutely insane with the rate of sun that just fell from the sky in these levels. I tried to cause some damage by exploding the sun to see if it damaged the zombies. It didn't in my experience. Maybe I have to wait till it's closer to the floor, maybe. But with that, it kind of was a nice level. I put down a peppermint to boost the damage that the plants were doing. And yeah, the gargantua imp zombies hybrid metal thing was the only thing that really damaged us. And yeah, it was quite a nice level. Happy with it. Put down a meteor flower, trying to deal with them and do as well, but was fast enough. And yeah, day 20 en route. Day 20 was another level where we had endangered plants, and I was like, oh, we're cooked, because it was a full lane of just plants that were endangered, obviously. And yeah, they just did hella damage, and I was like, okay, maybe there's a chance. And I didn't really know what's the best mode of operation to do this, so I put down a whole lane of infernos behind them, which turned out to be a bad decision, as a boss storm quickly let me know that yeah, I was cooked and I didn't really know what to do. But luckily I had some lawnmowers, and I just kind of put down some and prayed
that the plant food would do its thing. It did its thing, and I did end up losing a lot and all of my lawnmowers, which let me know that I should probably not do this again, but we somehow made it through, which was absolutely amazing. And yeah, with the final peppermint to blaze our way through and upgrade all of our plants, we absolutely violated the final wave, pushing us to day 21 without much hustle. Day 21, we needed sunflower again because we needed to produce a certain amount of plants. Okay, it doesn't count. It's a sunflower. It's yet another level that is impossible to do only using fire plants. And the sunflower doesn't count again, guys, okay? It doesn't count. Day 22. Day 22 is a plan your defense level. You already know how this goes. We flew through it. Day 23. Day 23 was a unique level where I thought that we needed to produce a certain amount of sun, but it actually was you can't spend a certain amount of sun, which actually was fine with me because there's nothing Blaze Leaf can't do. And yeah, there's actually truly not much to say. We went crazy with all of the fire peas in the back trying to spice it up. I have something new, and it's all kind of been quite easy. The far future hasn't really been as hard as some of the other one. Like the Frostbite Caves did give me a lot more hassle, and even the Lost City were a lot more hassle. I just feel like the far future will kind of just fly into it a bit too easy, or maybe I'm just getting too good at the game. It's definitely not that second one. Anyways, day 24. Day 24 included the purple sun again, which I was really happy about because you know what that means? A lot of sun, which means that we could put down a lot of plants. There was no plant limit, so we were going crazy. I was going to switch it up. I didn't really use the fire pea in a while, so I decided, hey, let's put down loads of fire peas. And this all-star robot guy that actually came into the world roughly around day 14, if I'm correct. It came true and it caused a bit of hassle, but it is nothing plant food can't fix, and we absolutely burned our way through this level. It was insane, and it was actually quite a fun level to do because it was just a lot happening and I enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, there's nothing else really to say. We flew through this one, being a lot easier than like the Lost City and stuff like that. And do y'all feel like that too, or is that just me that I kind of felt this was easier than the past two levels, especially Frostbite Caves? That one has been the hardest world so far, which you wouldn't think because it's fire and the world's ice, you know, makes sense. But anyways, day 25. Day 25, the boss battle. And as you can see, obviously we can't do this with a fire only. I think there's only been one boss that we can actually be only using fire only. But this is one of the cooler boss like mech designs, which I was really happy with. And yeah, it was really cool that we could place down the tiles too. It's really cool overall. There's a lot of cool things happening, but there's not too much to say because we can't beat it with a fire plant. Maybe if they gave us one, I could attempt like I did in other worlds, but they didn't give us any. It was a fun boss battle overall, and it led us to the dark ages. I know a lot of you are excited and kind of figuring out how I'll do, as well as modern day. I know a lot of people are seeing how I do it. I have a game plan, but for right now, if you haven't watched the last episode, the video on the left will take you to watch the last city. And if you want to keep up to date on the playlist and watch the whole series so far, click on the playlist on the right. And I'll see you in the next one.